You sure it's on? It's on, right? It's on? Yeah, yes, you don't need to check it every time. Now, come on, back up, back up, back up! Ah, jeez. Every time with this guy. Shut up. All right. Hi, Vinnie and Skip here again. So, here we are at the end of our movie collection. We're going through Q to the end, which is Y, because we don't have anything with Z in it. And we didn't skip anything next this time. See? I can remember. Fine, whatever. You didn't forget. Good for you. You want a fucking cookie? I would like a thank you. Shut up! Get on with it. Anyway, here we go. Q through the end. Enjoy, folks.
The Quick and the Dead.
So, it's a remake of a classic western. Directed by Sam Raimi and starring Sharon Stone, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Gene Hackman. What more do you want?
Radioland Murders.
From George Lucas, it's an unusual comedy homaging the screwball comedies of the 30s and a whodunit. It's also an unofficial prequel to American Graffiti. Did you know that Mary Stuart Masterson and Brian Benben are supposed to be Richard Dreyfuss's parents?
Ready or Not.
I wasn't too sure what to make of this movie when it first came out, but my God, is it one of the funniest horror movies you're ever gonna see. Check this one out if you haven't seen it yet.
Rock and Rule.
From Nelvana, the very first fully Canadian-produced feature-length animated film. It's weird, it's got a lot of great rock music, it's strange and bizarre, and you should definitely see it. And make sure you're not as whacked out on mushrooms as you think you are.
Santa Claus, the movie.
Okay, this one got picked up by Skip on recommendation of that Cinema Robert guy or whatever his name is. Yeah, it's not my thing, but if you're into kind of quirky little movies from the 80s, yeah, check that one out.
Saw 1 through 7.
Okay, this one's got 7 films that we gotta get through, so here we go. 1 and 2 remain horror classics. 3's okay. 4, I don't think it gets as much love as it deserves. 5, 6, and 7, even though 6 has one of my favorite traps, the series went way downhill really fast following 4.
Scream 1 through 3.
I don't know. I recently rewatched these, and honestly, the kind of we're better than this material aesthetic that it has kind of really grates, especially Courtney Cox's character. Ugh.
Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
It's not perfect after all these years, and you can see why it kind of flopped at the box office, but it's still a pretty good movie regardless, and if you want something truly different, it's definitely worth your time.
Secret Window.
This is based on a novella by Stephen King that eventually he reworked into the dark half. And this one's kind of interesting in the looks of a man devouring into madness thanks to his own jealousy and hatred. Check it out. It's kind of cool.
Sergeant Kabuki Man, NYPD.
A trauma classic, and it's not quite as extreme as some of the other trauma movies, so if you've ever been curious about that type of movie, this is a pretty good place to start.
Shaun of the Dead.
The first of Edgar Wright's Cornetto trilogy. Shaun of the Dead, it takes a zombie movie and basically applies it with the mundanity of the real world, and you end up with an interesting little survival story. And a happy ending for a zombie movie, which you don't see all that often.
Shazam.
One of the first big hits from the DC Extended Universe, I guess, if that's what we're still calling it. Are we still calling it that? Who cares? Get on with it. All right. Sorry. Anyway, Shazam's good fun with a lot of creepy little elements that crop up unexpectedly here and there.
The Shining.
Okay, so Kubrick basically gave Stephen King a giant middle finger with this movie and nearly drove Shelley Duvall crazy during the filming of it. I guess if you like that sort of thing, it's okay. It's a really creepy movie with a great aesthetic. Just, you'll get more entertainment value out of watching Room 239, am I right?
Shock Treatment.
The 1981 semi-sequel to the Rocky Horror Picture Show, Shock Treatment has a bunch of catchy songs, not quite as charismatic of a story though, and the general budget limitations made the filmmakers make some choices that really make no sense.
Smokey and the Bandit 1 through 3.
The first one is a classic chase movie, second one's okay, third one, well, yeah, Jackie Gleason can only do so much.
Snakes on a Plane.
Okay, so it started off as a meme and it kind of blew up into this weird, fully movie-made thing. But as a movie, it's a good old-fashioned B-movie animal attack sort of thing. Check it out if you haven't.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Okay, so it doesn't break any new ground cinematically, and there's a bunch of people on the internet who do film for a living who basically turn up their noses at it. But hey, at the time, everything was going to hell before the pandemic hit, and pretty much, I think what we all needed at that time was some good 90s era Jim Carrey goofiness, and this movie delivered that in spades.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
What more needs to be said about this movie? If you've seen it, you love it. If you haven't, you need to see it and then you'll love it.
Streets of Fire.
If you want more detail on this one, there's another video on this channel all about it. But in a nutshell, this is a cult classic, and it's a really, really good cult classic that more and more people are discovering now.
Street Fighter.
Okay, so it misses the point of the entire Street Fighter franchise completely, but it's Raul Julia, come on. It's a classic for a reason. A cult classic at that.
Speed Racer.
An over-the-top, utterly deranged, eye-searing, in a good way, film from the Wachowskis adapting the classic anime to a live-action format, and it's got John Goodman as Pop's Racer, which is just perfect casting. Check it out.
Superman, the Fleischer Shorts.
Okay, so the first 9 are really, really good. The last 8, well, they're mostly World War II war propaganda for the United States government, but they're well animated and a lot of fun action and adventure. Check them out.
Superman, the Theatrical Serials.
Okay, so these are technically serials and not movies, but whatever. Kirk Allen's a really good Superman, and Lyle Talbot is an excellent Lex Luthor in Superman vs. Atom Man. Or Atom Man vs. Superman. Or whatever the hell it's called. Get on with it! Hey! I'm talking here!
Superman and the Mole Men.
The first outing of George Reeves as Superman, and it's really okay, although it feels more like a low-grade B movie that just happens to have Superman jammed into it, rather than a Superman movie in and of itself.
Superman the Movie.
I don't need to tell you how good this movie is. Go watch it if you haven't seen it in a while.
Superman 2.
Superman 2 is widely considered one of the best Superman movies, and yeah, you can see it, even with Richard Lester's change in direction and tone.
Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut.
Okay, so this one takes things a little more seriously than the theatrical cut, but it's just as good, even though the ending still kind of doesn't work.
Superman 3.
I don't think this one's as bad as people say it is. Sure, it's kind of silly and Lester's penchant for humor comes up a little bit too often, but I still think it's a pretty good movie nonetheless.
Superman 4. Supergirl.
Since they were trying to do something completely different and go for a more fantasy motif rather than science fiction with this one, I think it's a shame that more people don't like this movie. Check it out again. Give it another chance. I think you might like it this time.
Superman Brainiac Attacks.
A little bit different from Superman the Animated Series from which it was derived, but it reminds you exactly why that series was so good to begin with.
Superman Returns.
Okay, it was a flop at the box office, and I really wish Brandon Routh had been given more direction than act like Christopher Reeve, but it's not bad. It's not particularly good either. It's just kind of there. Worth your watch if you haven't seen it.
Superman Doomsday.
I don't know about this one. This was their first attempt to do the Death of Superman story arc, and it just didn't really work all that well.
Batman and Superman, Public Enemies, and Apocalypse.
Based on the first 2 story arcs from the Superman-Batman comic book, these are okay adaptations with some good voice cast. Kevin Conroy, Tim Daly come back. They're alright.
Superman Unbound and Superman vs. the Elite.
Unbound's okay. It's kind of a follow-up to Superman-Batman Apocalypse. It's really more of a Supergirl story than a Superman story. And Superman vs. the Elite is just amazing, and you should watch it if you haven't already.
All-Star Superman.
I have a love-hate relationship with Grant Morrison and his everything that ever happened in the comics is canon approach, but here, it all blends together into a beautiful pastiche of what makes Superman great. Check this one out if you haven't seen it.
Man of Steel.
Okay, so this was the beginning of the so-called DC Extended Universe. Zack Snyder's maybe not the best director for a Superman movie, but I certainly don't have a problem with the ending like a lot of people did. And, you know, overall, it's a fairly solid effort. I give it a B+.
Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice.
I don't want to talk about this movie anymore. Not because I hate it, I'm just tired of the discourse.
The Death of Superman and Reign of the Supermen.
This is a much better adaptation of the Death of Superman story arc. However, I kind of wish it wasn't part of that New 52 thing they were doing at the time. That's all wrapped up now, so maybe we'll get a better one down the line, or maybe not, who knows.
Superman Red Sun.
Now, I haven't read the comic this is based on yet, but taking it as a movie on its own, a real interesting Elseworld scenario which hypothesizes Superman landing as a baby in Russia rather than in America. And an interesting take on where the character goes while still being recognizably Superman.
Superman Man of Tomorrow.
The first of the next wave of post-New 52 direct-to-video DC animated movies, Superman Man of Tomorrow basically is the origin story all over again, but it's a fairly solid retelling of Superman's origin story and some great stuff and a great turn by the Parasite as a bad guy. What? I like Superman.
Teen Titans Go to the Movies.
I like Teen Titans Go, and I really, really love this movie. If you didn't give it a shot just because you think Teen Titans Go is stupid, try it again. You don't need to know any continuity. It's perfect the way it is, and it's absolutely hilarious.
Teen Titans Go versus Teen Titans.
The follow-up to Teen Titans Go to the movies, this one pits the Teen Titans Go characters against their original TV series counterparts. Also, it turns into a very bizarre cross-dimensional journey story, road trip type story, and it's actually pretty funny. Check it out.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1 through 3 and the TMNT movie.
The live-action Turtles trilogy is still pretty good. 3 doesn't hold up as well as the other 2, and TMNT, while it claims it's trying to be part of the same continuity, kind of goes off and does its own thing, and it's not bad for doing its own thing in that regard.
Terminator.
For my money, I really like the original Terminator better than Terminator 2. Sue me. It's a creepy, really interesting horror movie. And yes, it is a horror movie. Plus Linda Hamilton when she was younger. Oh, I need to see Dark Fate. I haven't seen Dark Fate yet.
Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
What can we say about Terminator 2 Judgment Day that hasn't been said already? It's basically the most perfect action film ever made.
They Live.
A satire on consumerism as only John Carpenter can tell it. I've praised John Carpenter in every single one of these videos. What more do you want? Watch the man's filmography.
Citizen Toxie, The Toxic Avenger Part 4.
This is from Troma's really more extreme end of the library because there's a lot of stuff in here that's going to make you go, what the fuck? But you know what? It's still a lot of fun and you should check it out.
Tower of Terror.
Okay, so this is technically the first Disney movie based on one of its theme park rides, but it's a TV movie and it's got Steve Guttenberg in the downturn of his career. It's okay.
Tower Heist.
A lot of people bailed on this one because they thought the concept was stupid, but honestly, this is Ocean's 11 in reverse, where a bunch of amateurs try to take on a billionaire, and there's a lot of fun stuff in here, especially if you like seeing billionaires who scam people out of their money get their comeuppance.
Transformers the movie.
Well, it's one of those ones that didn't really break my heart when I was a kid, but I remember staring at the animation going, wow, I've never seen anything like this before. It's worth it just for that.
Tron Legacy.
Tron Legacy is a visually stunning film with a fantastic soundtrack, but the plot gets a little weird and could have benefited from the fact that they needed to make it absolutely clear that the grid is on a computer that is not connected to the internet.
The 12 Chairs.
It's Mel Brooks' second film. This one's a little rough around the edges and not quite as polished as the producers, but yeah, if you've never seen this one, give that one a shot. It's an interesting sort of thing. It's also where we get the phrase, hope for the best, but expect the worst.
Twilight Zone the movie.
Okay, an attempt to update certain classic Twilight Zone episodes for the modern era, but it's been marred by the tragic and preventable death of Vic Morrow and 2 extras during filming of John Landis' sequence. And yeah, it's okay, but it ain't spectacular.
Undercover Brother.
A really fun, over-the-top, not quite a spoof of the blaxploitation effort, but a really interesting, fun little cheesy comic book style movie. And it has Chris Kattan in one of his few really good roles.
V for Vendetta.
Based on an Alan Moore graphic novel, V for Vendetta, the film isn't quite as in-depth or as targeted as the graphic novel was, but the Wachowskis do a great job of bringing it to the screen and making it a much more larger story about oppression in a more general sense.
War Games.
Cold War paranoia at its finest from the early 80s. This is Matthew Broderick back when he made good choices in movies.
Watchmen, the director's cut, and Tales of the Black Freighter.
Okay, love or hate Zack Snyder, you can't deny that Watchmen, especially his director's cut, is actually really, really good and a great adaptation of Alan Moore's novel, even if it does seem to miss a couple of key points that Moore was trying to make. Tales from the Black Freighter is an interesting thing taken on its own, but the Under the Hood short film that comes with it is much more compelling.
Weird Science.
Okay, it still has some problems being an 80s John Hughes movie with all the implications that has, but really, you should really check this one out if you've never seen it before. It's a good, schlocky, fun time.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
One of the very definitions of an 80s classic, Who Framed Roger Rabbit remains the pinnacle of merging of live action and animation, and considering they did this mostly pre-CGI, that's saying something.
Wonder Woman 2009.
First animated outing of Wonder Woman in her own movie. Actually, the first Wonder Woman movie of her own, if you don't count the crappy 1970s TV movie starring what's-her-face, the blonde. Whatever. Anyway, this one's really good. Check it out.
Wonder Woman 2017.
This was one of the first big ballparks that still had the Snyder aesthetic, of the DC Extended Universe, but managed to make itself its own thing and show that that kind of aesthetic can work. It's just got to be tempered with the right sort of material.
The World's End.
The final installment in Edgar Wright's Cornetto trilogy, this takes a sci-fi pub crawl concept and talks about things like Arrested Development, drug addiction, suicide, and even, yes, urbanization as it happens in small towns across England and on the world on a wider world scale.
Wreck-It Ralph.
The Who Framed Roger Rabbit of video games. This movie's really, really good and a lot of fun. It's just a shame the sequel wasn't so great.
Young Sherlock Holmes.
I don't know what the hell is up with this movie. I tell you what, I go in thinking I'm going to get a nice little mystery and I'm getting something more akin to Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. What the hell happened here? Well, there you have it, folks. That's our entire movie collection. Of course, now we have a small problem. We have no idea what to do next. Well, you didn't need to tell him that. What? You don't have any ideas. You didn't have any ideas this morning. I said, you got any ideas? Because I don't have any ideas. You have no ideas. None. Zero. Zilch. You're very mean. Shut up. All right, okay, fine. So yeah, we're not sure what to do for our next video, so if you've got any ideas, throw them in the comments down there below. Also, please hit the like and subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications. Yeah, it's kind of stupid and cheesy and we really hate having to talk about it, but it seems to help. And honestly, we like being on this guy's channel for right now. We might get our own channel eventually, but not until we got a better idea of what we want to do. Yep, so until then, I'm Vinny. Wait, no, I'm Skip, you're Vinny. Yeah, no kidding. Jesus. Moron over here. I'm Vinny, I'm Skip, and we'll see you in the next video. Did you just become a ventriloquist? Oh, shut up, turn it off, turn it off!